Hey guys, Noah from Stage 3 Motorsports here in the shop today with our 2018 F-150, and we're going to be throwing on the S&B cold air intake for the 5.0 V8. But first, make sure you guys head down below, hit subscribe, and also follow us on Instagram to keep up with everything else we got going on. So what we're going to be swapping out is the factory airbox and snorkel here under the hood on our 18 F-150. It is worth noting that S&B makes different intakes for the different engine options and different years, so no matter what your truck is, there will be something available for you, but for the most part, we're going to focus in on our 2018 5.0 that we have here. So what we're looking to gain here will be obviously a little bit better throttle response, a larger airbox and better snorkel, as well as a little bit more intake sound so you get that kind of cool suction noise when you get on the throttle, and the ability to basically run an oiled filter in here that we can clean and reuse instead of just having to swap through crappy paper filters as we get them dirty, which overall should make for a really nice upgrade on this truck. So with all the details out of the way, we'll jump right into it now, tear out this factory intake and get that S&B popped in. Under the hood at the throttle body, you'll see the end of the stock intake attached with a band clamp that we can loosen. Up a bit on the intake tube, unclip the coolant overflow line from the tab, then disconnect two vacuum lines on the side of the intake. These two clips have a tab to depress to remove them. Now by the filter box, there is another band clamp to loosen on the intake tube. Now that the intake tube is completely disconnected and can be pulled from the intake box assembly, as well as the lid after unclipping the two snap clips on the side. Then pull the tube from the throttle body and out of the engine bay. The factory snorkel has two clips on the mouthpiece to remove. Start by removing the inner clip, which will then release the main body of the clip to take it out. The one bolt that holds the intake box to the frame can be removed, then unclip the wire harness in the three locations on the back of the box to completely release the lower half of the intake. It'll pull straight up from its two alignment pins to take it out of the truck. Now transfer over the factory bolt sleeve and bushing for the mounting bolt on the intake box. Both pieces will install in the new S&B box, so squeeze in the bushing, then slide in the sleeve from the inside of the box. The mouthpiece of the new snorkel can slide into the intake box. It attaches with 4 total clips on the top and bottom that go together like so. Feed them through the holes in the top and bottom of the mouthpiece to connect the snorkel inlet. The S&B intake box will drop in place perfectly in the same location of the stock box. Use the bottom alignment pins as a guide, then reattach the one bolt that secures to the side of the engine bay. Clip in the intake mouthpiece to the radiator cover with the two new push pins. Then drop in the filter through the top opening and let it sit in the box for now. Route the new intake tube around the coolant line and slide it into the intake box. Make sure it sits completely inside its inlet to the intake box. We then found it easiest to install the coupler to the throttle body first, then the intake tube. Once it's installed, attach the band clamps at the throttle body and intake tube sides. Back in the intake box, push the filter onto the intake tube and tighten down the band clamp to secure the filter onto the tube. Now that we are finished inside of the intake box, the clear cover can be attached with the supplied screws. On the side of the intake, both vacuum lines can be clipped back into their correct fittings, which will complete the installation of this SMB intake.